legends for the sport. Other guys inside there now that really, don't get credit for what they've put into the industry.
Some great guys here, and I think that even though we were very competitive, I think that everybody still had that sense of fellowship and camaraderie. Yeah, I remember that weekend, and it was interesting because we had the two cars. One was a car that was just sold, or they were both just sold recently, I believe, but one was built for Johnny Rutherford at Bathurst in '77, and we campaigned that quite a bit. And then we had the car that we used for the majority of the championship race in '79. And as it turned out, Alan Moffat drove the championship winning car and I drove the older car. But it was quite good fun.
So here you are up on the Gold Coast all these years later with a big gap from motorsport, really. How does it feel to be with all these guys again?
Look, I think it's great to meet up with all the guys who used to race against, and there's some sayings, the older I get, the faster I was. But some great guys here, and I think that even though we were very competitive, I think that everybody still had that sense of fellowship and camaraderie. We were all sort of in it together, and we raced really hard against each other, but we still had fun.
Very, very well. Running without much sponsorship this year, although he's got a little bit more backing this time, which is always handy, of course. Ray Kalida is alongside him in a Tirana, and the last two cars, as the cars now pulled out onto the track for their two warm-up laps, Garry Wilmington in a Falcon, who did a 58.5, and Phil Lyon, who didn't record a practice time in his Tirana, will start from the last position in the grid in car number 51.
Well, I think our viewers can see that we have a very, very good field here today. Not only the hot running drivers, the calibre of Bobby Morris, Alan Grice, Dick Johnson, Alan Moffat, but also the people who campaign on the Australian Touring Car Championship Trail, Murray Carter, all the way up from Victoria, Dick Johnson and Johnny French, who are down from Queensland. French, of course, driving a local entry, the Thompson Ford entry, normally driven by Colin Bond, as Evan mentioned. Johnny Goss, nice to see John back at the field. Let's have a look at the replay of what happened earlier. This will be a nightmare for Alan Moffat, and hopefully it won't happen in this final, this all-important final this afternoon, after he blew an oil filter going up Bitcher Pave. And how on earth so many cars came through that, because at that particular time of the day, the sun right in the driver's eyes. But Moffat was able to get out, get the car back. It's been repaired, and he is ready to go in the final this afternoon.
Moving into this final heat, the series leader and the leader on points after the two heats run so far today is Bobby Morris, having accrued 14 points from a second placing and a first. Dick Johnson provisionally is in second place on points. That's after today's two heats, of course, not in the overall series so far, but that's provisional for Dick Johnson because he has a 1 minute time penalty standing against him for jumping the start in the second heat. Alan Grice so far today has accrued 8 points in his Craven Mild Tirana, followed by Charlie O'Brien with 6, and then Alan Moffat and Gary Rogers both have picked up 5 points, Warren Cullen 3, Garth Wigston 2 points, and Gary Cook 1 point. But those 14 points for Bobby Morris today, added to the 30 that he collected with 3 straight wins in the first round of the series, put him on 44 points and well clear of the rest of the field at this stage of the Amscar series.
John Goss, we were just following up the hill in car number 3, the big blue and white Falcon. He just passed Ray Kalida in car 28. They'll be sharing the second last row of the grid.
In this final heat this afternoon, 15 points go to the winner, 12 for second, 10 for third, 8 for fourth, 6 points for fifth, 5 for sixth place, 4 for seventh, 3 for eighth, 2 for ninth, and 1 point for 10th place.
If you're wondering why cars are stopping and starting, there's nothing wrong with your set or the cameras. It's just that the drivers are practicing starts. They're warming up their tyres and just practicing their start to get the feel of the clutch and to make sure they can spin the rubber just enough to get it almost on the point of melting so that it gets maximum traction. They've got to have the tyres warm and a little bit soft in the compound to have them right, and they want to make sure they're ready and able to withstand a couple of minutes of cooling off here as they sit on the start line. Bob Morris, well and truly disguised beneath his full-length helmet, or full-width, full-chin helmet, and he's got the now fashionable anti-flame face mask, which just leaves him a pair of eye holes there. It must put the driver off. It's limiting the restriction, limiting as far as visibility is concerned, but I bet that they're really welcoming the fact that the clouds have come out and blocked off the sun, because it's been a very warm day and they will really be feeling hot with 13 laps here, working as hard as they do. Not many spots where their skin is visible, as you can see, just around the eyes. That's all that Bob Morris is showing.
With a bit of cloud cover at this time of the afternoon, it would make for almost ideal racing conditions.
Absolutely.
Alan Moffat there. 18 cars are starting. It's a full field. Moffat out there on the line, one of his camel filter girls alongside.
A little off-putting, wouldn't it?
Standing beautifully. Oh, Alan would have no eyes for anything but that camel on the back. I can
so on
be
the
reasonably sure of that. Just turn around so you can see her back, love. She's determined to stand side on. Poor child. Anyhow, she'll leave when the 1 minute board goes up. And there it goes. Everyone leaves the grid. And now the field is in the hands of the starter, our backpack operators. Also leaving the grid. Car number 11, Garry Cook. He's back alongside Alan Moffat in the second row. He hasn't made really good starts. The man who's made sensational starts with 10 seconds to go is Dick Johnson back in the third row, that blue Falcon. But the men to watch, the two green and white Tiranas, Moffat and Morris.
Round 2 of the Amscar Series final. It's Bobby Morris off the grid with Alan Moffat following up the inside of Garry Cook. Grice going wide, and it's Moffat resting Alan Grice on the inside.
There goes Dick Johnson.
Dick Johnson on the outside of Alan Grice, but they run out of room as they go over the top. And everyone manages to come through okay. Grice is caught wide. Moffat just moves straight down the inside of him. And I think the Ron Hodson Channel 7 cars are running 1-2 as they go through that corner. Now come down the back part of the circuit with Bobby Morris leading, Alan Moffat, Alan Grice is second, Dick Johnson.
Warren Cullen's up in 5th place. And he's got Gary Rogers there, breathing down his neck. But it's the new team coming first and second. And the field is so close, pouring through Honda for the first time. 13 laps to come.
There's the field. It's a large one, as you can see, through Rothman's corner and about to come onto the main straightaway once again. Bobby Morris in the Channel 7 car for Ron Hodson comes through the turn onto the straight. Alan Moffat in close pursuit. Alan Grice a little sideways the turn. Then moving up to the big Ford is Dick Johnson, the first of the Fords in the field this afternoon. Murray Carter and the other Ford driver still well back at this particular stage of the race. Bobby Morris looking smooth as he goes over the top of Bitcher Pave, down into the tight right-hander. Moffat getting a second grasp of the wheel there as he goes through. And Alan Grice, who is very much sideways coming through that corner. So Tiranas 1, 2, 3. Then the first of the Fords driven by Dick Johnson of Queensland.
Notice how smooth
Moffat's got oil.
Moffat is.
Oh,
just starting to speak about the way he's driving. It may have been cement dust, I hope so. But bear in mind, Moffat hasn't driven this car before. Dick Johnson's going hard there. The field pouring through. It's Gary. No, it's not.
Charlie O'Brien.
Charlie O'Brien
in 5th place.
Warren Cullen, Garry Cook, and then Gary Rogers. That's the order further back in the field. But the leader is Bob Morris. Second spot, Alan Moffat in car 25. And driving as though he's been used to Tiranas all his life. He's certainly seen plenty of them.
I think he appreciates the challenge. He's answering the challenge very well today. Bobby Morris, the current form driver on the Touring Car National Championship circuit, comes over the top of Bitcher Pave with Alan Moffat running shotgun or rear guard even perhaps, keeping Alan Grice at bay. Moffat goes through that corner quite nicely. Grice coming up behind him. Then Dick Johnson, who may give Alan Grice a little bit of competition after the next couple.
Yeah, that's not cement dust that Alan Moffat is trailing. He's got oil there somewhere. I'm not quite sure where it's coming from, but there are rather ominous signs. In the meantime, Grice has closed up. Johnson's close. And then Charlie O'Brien, Warren, Cullen, Cook, and look at the dice game between Cook and Rogers. They're really playing at it hammer and tongs in these two Tiranas. Now, Moffat has closed up. Whether he's got a problem. He's Cook on the inside.
Yes, and he's, they're having a great dice, that pair.
Once again, up the top of the hill. Whether or not that is cement dust, it looks very much like oil, but only in that part of the circuit for some reason. The leaders go over the top of Bitcher Pave. Here they come down into Dunlop now. Bobby Morris just clips the corner marker. Alan Moffat, yes. At that stage,
he's got oil.
A break, but
it may be the residue of oil that was spilt from the change of the filter. There'll be oil around there, and they may not have had time to clean it up, so he could be just spilling a bit onto the exhaust pipe, but we hope it's something. Yes,
he's giving Grice cardiac arrest, I know that at this stage, and he's closed right up on Bobby Morris.
He's out to give him a rest as well, I think. A rest from the leader.
That oil doesn't spill over the back tyres as he makes a passing manoeuvre on Bobby Morris. Good sight for the Ron Hodson team. 1-2, and Alan Grice thinking it's smorgasbord.
Right up, yep.
Johnson has dropped back a little bit behind them. He has a couple of Torontos very close behind him if he thinks about easing up. But in the meantime, Moffat showing definite signs of wanting to lead. Some signals there by Bob Morris. Whether they're to his pit or to Alan Moffat, I don't know. I suspect they were to Moffat, suggesting that he should get on the right-hand side, so maybe he's going to give him a chance of being in front. Moffat certainly wants to get there. Maybe he thinks he's not going to last the race and would like to show that he could lead the race. In the meantime, Grice is very well placed. Right up, close behind them.
Well, this could upset the apple cart if Grice puts his nose in there. Here's Moffat making a determined bid. That's where we notice the oil. It doesn't seem to show anywhere else on the circuit. Moffat pokes the nose of the second Tirana down the inside of Bobby Morris, exiting Honda corner, now on Vane Straight, going down towards Rothmans, the right-hander. Not much between the first three running cars. There's Grice getting somewhat agitated, but has to pick the right time to do it.
We've got 8 laps to go, and I think we're going to see Grice try and make a move at some stage to pass both cars. If he can get by them both at once, that's what he's out to do. He's getting up very well placed on a few points. Loses out a little bit up here, maybe just marginally down on power. Noticeable also that this is a part of the circuit where Dick Johnson goes well in the Big Falcon. He closes up here. Grice braking very late and catching up a lot of ground under braking there. Moffat still blowing smoke for some reason out the side of the car. And Grice closing up through there, which is a pretty desperate way to have to make up ground. And Bob Morris in the meantime doing it all the right way, and Moffat very, very close behind, liking to get in front if he possibly could. We now wait at Honda for the trio to arrive. There's a car that's about to get a most awful shock when they come pouring in the top of it.
It's Morris followed by Moffat, then Grice, Johnson, O'Brien and Warren Cullen. And they've opened up that 5 well clear of the rest of the field, headed by car 34, Garry Rogers. But all the action is at the front with the leading 3 cars, Morris, Moffat, Grice.
Well, there's a forward hero doing a heck of a job in second place. Alan Moffat right on the tailpipe of Bobby Morris. Morris, I wouldn't think at any stage wants to give this lead away, just in case anything went wrong later in the race. He's got a lead to protect in the Amscar series, and here he leads. Alan Moffat, teammate for a day.
Grice much closer than he was before. He's made up ground on time. The race now, by the way, is halfway through, and Grice very well placed. This is the part of the circuit where he tends to catch up a little bit, so he's closer than he's been before. He tends to do daring things down here to Honda, but he may not be able to see much of the track because Alan Moffat is spewing a lot of oil or smoke, probably from an oil leak, I suspect. Johnson also very close, and now here comes O'Brien and then Cullen.
Close motor racing, touring cars, Amaru Park in the second round of the Amscar series with Bobby Morris leading car number 7, Alan Moffat, teammate, running in second place, and Alan Grice for Craven Mild in third place. Moffat with a whistle of smoke coming up the straightaway, but not as pronounced as it is when he goes down the back part of the circuit. And he's still fast, very, very fast at the top of the hill. There'd be no reason in the world why Bobby Morris would be easing off the pace. This race paced quite handsomely this afternoon. And the drivers are on so many dollars per point, and Morris doing a good job out in front, not running away from them by any stretch of the imagination.
$25 a point, I think it is, isn't it, in additional prize money?
Yeah.
Every point earned is worth $25.
The first 3 go through, the other 3 are led by Dick Johnson. Only 5.5
Well,
seconds.
here comes Grice's move. Let's see if it works out.
I don't think it can, but it's enough to show that he's really serious to try and get by there. And he certainly gave the message to Alan Moffat that he's looking at getting by both these Ron Hodgson cars, and they take up line again. I was about to say there's 5.5 seconds between the first 6 cars, which shows you just how close the next 3 really are. But these are the 3 leading ones, with Alan Grice chasing after the 2 Ron Hodgson cars. Moffat's the one he wants to get. He's prepared to go up in the grass or do anything to get by him there, and it's Grice now coming down again on the part of the circuit that he really likes. He'll go hard down here, and he'll make a move, I would think, coming towards Honda, because that's where he tries to get into another line to get on the inside and through. And here they come now, and Moffat in trouble there with the dust. Here he comes again on the inside. He's not going to be let in, but luckily there's not a touch there. But he came pretty close. But once again, Alan Grice giving the message to Alan Moffat that he wants to get by.
And Bobby Morris pretty happy, I think, with that situation, having Grice nibbling away at Moffat's heels, and he runs along in front.
I could almost go along with Moffat playing rear gunner on this occasion, except for the fact that Morris isn't pulling away from them. Grice would be wondering what on earth he's got to do to get past, although he's had his own problems today and has been plagued in the Touring Car Championship round so far this year with electrical problems. But hot spark from Alan, Alan's exhaust pipe any tick of the clock could be on the cards.
4.5 laps to go. And it's still Bob Morris from Alan Moffat from Alan Grice. He went very wide there and he takes the fast line down through Mazda House corner. Again, that surge of oil smoke from Moffat. He just dies away again. And once again, Grice closing up, making a challenging move here.
Well, he knows that if he's going to make the move, it's got to be very soon.
Down Phillip Straight, the 3 cars go now, which is a bit of a boomerang-like straight with a kink in the middle. Into Rothman's, a very hard corner. Alan Moffat, car 25, the meat in the sandwich. And pressing his little bit of wholemeal bread is Alan Grice. Trying very hard. He doesn't want to draw away or get left behind up the hill. He doesn't quite have the power of these cars. He has to stay within reach so that he can gain ground under braking. Just watch up top. You see the brake lights come on earlier on the other cars. Grice goes very deep, as you can see. Just touched the brakes at the last minute, almost flattening that boot of Alan Moffat even more, and he's trying desperately to get through up on the top at Dunlop Loop.
I think Alan Grice knows there are 1.5 laps or so remaining in this race, and the time has come to throw the big challenge at Alan Moffat. He was very, very close to him. And whether or not Moffat can keep fending him off by throwing BP out the window, we'll wait and see. Down to the left-hander at Honda, and Grice is CLOSE as they make the Vane straight now down towards Rothmans, and the moment of truth is about to arrive.
Well, that tussle going on there, but oh, there he goes. Grice is trying to get underneath Moffat, and he does so into second place.
Come back underneath him. We'll wait and see if he has enough sting to do it.
That little dice, though, has allowed Bobby Morris to skip away with just a little bit of a lead with only 2 laps to go.
I think he's found a determined Moffat who now decides he's going to go back and give his boy plenty. As he takes the inside and says, glad that, everyone's heads just jumped back as they waited for Moffat to make the overtaking manoeuvre. Could Moffat be setting up for a Rothmans corner grand finale? He had the act perpetrated on him last year in the Touring Car Championship. Morris looks in the mirror and see there's not a green and white car. It's got some other cigarette company colours all over it. And Moffat trying to battle back to get on terms with Grice to make this a winner in the last corner. I think Grice has a strong enough second place lead over Alan Moffat to hold that down to take the checkered flag. Grice goes in, comes out wide. There's the race leader, Bobby Morris, coming into Hodson Corner. Now onto the straightaway.
And 1 lap to go. Bobby Morris doing it well in front, looking for his second win of the day in the Amscar heats. Alan Grice in second place, followed by Alan Moffat.
I don't know if Morris has had problems with braking during the day, but it's quite obvious that Alan Grice is able to go into the corners a lot deeper and a lot harder, and he's not on the brakes as early.
1.4 seconds the margin between the first and second car. You can see the distance though, and this is the gap between the second and third car. Morris leading, Grice, Alan Moffat in third place.
If Grice had the down-small power that the Hodgson cars have obviously got, and with the braking setup that he's got, he'd be a powerful man to beat.
But it's Bobby Morris, the leader of the Australian Touring Car Championship, who's going to win this round, the second of the Amscar rounds, and Morris, the on-form driver in the Australian touring car scene, who goes across the line to take the checkered flag and win the second of the Rothmans Amscar Series. Alan Grice is second, Alan Moffat, the unusual teammate, in third place in the Ron Hodgson team, and Dick Johnson from Queensland bringing a Ford Falcon home in fourth place.
Here's the battle of the Fords. Could be at another racetrack on a different date.
Murray Carter trying to get by Johnny Goss.
And Johnny will be taking the inside run here as Murray attempts an outside manoeuvre. That concrete wall comes up quickly. Gossie has found himself a real racing opponent in the last stretch to the checkered flag, and Murray Carter comes through to finish at the back of the field.
They've hit the fence. Murray Carter has hit the fence in the start finish. He went very wide, and he went into the fence, having taken that outside line. Murray Carter so close to the finish line, he blew a rear tyre, having gone out wide. The rear tyre went, which put Murray Carter out of control. The race was over. He was involved in a dice which he seemed to have won with John Goss, and Carter, with only 50 metres to go, is into the fence.
Well, he's given the other cars an extra inch of safety now when they come around that corner, because he's moved the Armco back a little.
Yes, but it doesn't do anything for the front end of the Ford.
He's moved his own car back even more, I suspect.
So bad luck indeed for one of the veterans of motorsport, Murray Carter, who's a privateer, has the backing of Brian Wood Ford. And as always at the Touring Car Championship rounds and the individual classics such as the Rothmans Amscar Series, pity to see him not finish, and also Charlie O'Brien in the Phillips entry, number 21. So a very interesting third round, full of action, with Tiranas 1, 2 and 3. The
And
sad
a pretty
case.
impressive day, I think, for Alan Moffat in his first ever day of racing in a Tirana. But honours, I think, rest justifiably with Bobby Morris once more, the leader in the Touring Car Championship, leader in this Amscar series after the first round at the previous meeting here, and with 2 wins out of 3 races today. He picks up another 29 points today, added to the 30 that he got from a clean sweep at the first round. Gives him a total of 59 points and well clear of the field in the Rothmans Amscar series. There'll be a presentation for Bob coming up shortly when we return to Amaroo Park.
Well, a full lineup of the drivers who figured in that sensational race. Dick Johnson, who did so well for Ford. You must be rather pleased with yourself, Dick.
Yes, I'm very happy at the moment. The car feels really good and it's starting to go well, and I think it's just an effort of all the boys that put the time in on the car.
Well, you certainly upheld the Ford flag, and I think they must be rather proud and pleased down in Melbourne.
We were a bit low on numbers, but I think Alan will be back again sometime.
Alan Grice, a great second place. You had a bit of a dice there for a while.
Oh, it was very pleasant to finish the day on at least a reasonable note. We've had a frightful day. I think the old Suzuki will probably pack up on the way home. That's the sort of day it's been.
You're going to do a few handbrake turns inside the van.
Yeah, that's right. We're still second to Bob. Once again, he was too good on the day, but we're certainly not going to turn our toes up. We're going to go and do some more homework and knock him off next time.
And now to the members of the Ron Hodson Channel 7 racing team with the patron Ron Hodson in the middle. Let me just go past the driver who had a small part to play today. You must be a rather proud man, Ron Hodson.
Naturally, Evan, very, very proud. It's a great day for us, a really great day.
And your new teammate over there?
Well, we don't know what to do with him, you know. Now we got him, what do we do with him next?
Well, if you take him up the mountain, there'd be about 1,000 people who could probably tell you what to do with him, but it depends which camp they belong in. Alan, you must be feeling rather pleased with yourself.
Well, I wasn't pleased that Gracie got by me, but I think we're going to have a race here one day, just between Gracie and myself. We'll put about $5,000 on that corner and see who can jump out of the car fastest and pick it up. That's about the only way I'm going to get that one. But it was a great delight to drive Ron's car, and also very pleasant working with Bobby Morris all day and getting the cars set up, and it was a thrill to drive them.
Mentioning the name Bob Morris, the winner, a great drive, Bob.
Thank you, Evan. I can only say that the car ran faultlessly all day, and I just filled in my 5%, and the rest of Ron Hodson mechanics did their 95%.
Well, this is one round of the $60,000 Rothmans Amscar series. To make the presentation to today's winner, it's Mr. Bob Page from Rothmans.
Thank you very much. Just quickly before I do, thank you Channel 7 for televising the action. Thank you to the organisers of Amaroo for another great meeting, and to all the competitors who took the cars to the grid not once, not twice, but 3 times today. When you're hot, you're hot. Bobby Morris, you're probably one of the hottest touring car drivers in Australia at the moment. Congratulations to you. Round 2's yours, 2 to go. All the best in the Amscar series.
Well, thanks very much. And we'll try and have 4 of these on the mantelpiece by the end of the year.
Sorry,
Thank you, Evan.
What was that?
Sorry, Bob, you won't get 4.
A bit of dissension here, I think. Right, well, that's the action for the day. Just to wrap up as far as Channel 7 viewers are concerned, once more, it's back to Garry Wilkinson.
Well, here we are after a little bit of confusion, but never mind.
Just running to a man who wasn't there,
was he? Wasn't there, no. We were all on our way to join you down here, Evan, with all the fun and excitement and some pretty elated people, I think, after today's round of the Amscars.
Yes, it's some great action. I think this is it's a new series, as you know. It's been something of a pioneering effort, and I think it's working out very, very well.
Yes, I think that the series is a winner for the promoters here at Amaroo, and I certainly think that the fans have been getting what they've been looking for, I think, for some time now.
I think that as far as spectators are concerned, they've shown dramatically they like big touring cars and they like to see big names. And probably today's crowd would rival that of the biggest crowd of the Australian Touring Car Championship series so far. So I think the success of the Amscar series is guaranteed.
Well, Alan Moffat with his first day in Tiranas, maybe his only day in Tirana. So, of course, he's keeping his options wide open and playing the cards close to his chest.
Yes, it'll be intriguing to see whether he comes back. He'll certainly be here at the next meeting. But whether he's driving the Ron Hodgson car again or whether he's back in his Falcon is hard to say. But I did see Ron Hodgson doing this sort of action with him and leading him away. And when Ron does that, it means there's something cooking. So we might see Alan Moffat back at the wheel of a Tirana again. I know Ron Hodgson would like to have him. Whether Ron Hodgson could afford him is another question.
Yeah, I guess that's a point too. But I think, Mike, you made the point earlier that there must be a lot of Ford officials today in various parts of the country with a severe case of heartburn.
I would think so. I think as far as the Ford Motor Company is concerned, they're out of motorsport temporarily, of course. Alan Moffat, who has been their standard bearer, their flag waver, has come and driven a Tirana. And I think if Moffat can be coaxed back just to run the Amscar series in a Tirana, that could be somewhat embarrassing. You don't really know. There's so many things that can now happen. We could have Ford drivers running Holdens. I wonder how many Holden drivers going to Ford.
There'll be a lot of discussion in the portals of Ford on Tuesday morning. They'll be sitting down and saying, look, we can't let this happen. This man is too good to have him out of the Ford. What can we do to get him back in? One of the problems, of course, is to do with the new model and the homologation or the accreditation of it. You know, it just isn't a car that can be recognised by CAMS yet. Ford aren't prepared to spend the huge sum of money to bring this car up to the specification of the previous Cobra just for a few races, because next year the rules change. They wanted to run next year's rule this year. CAM said no, which is quite a logical sort of thing. They want to stick to the rules. But Ford reckoned it would have cost them about $1 million to have done the engineering work, to have changed and produced enough cars to have got the homologation papers. So we've got Alan Moffat virtually sitting on the sidelines with an outdated car or not running it at all. And that's a situation that can't be allowed to continue.
I know Murray Carter told you before, Mark, that he would never drive a compromise, but after the little bingle we saw him have with the fence just now, he might have second thoughts.
Maybe Armco's a bit of compromise, I don't know. But the Fords have had their battle today. They haven't been in the limelight. They haven't been in the limelight since the Touring Car Championship started. You take Alan Moffat out of the National Touring Car title this year, it'd be very hard to find a Ford that was still in there, that draws the spectator interest. I agree with Evan that Moffat needs Ford, Ford needs Moffat. I think motorsport, to have that fair balance, needs Ford participation. Maybe not in 78, but certainly, or 1979, but certainly in the 80s.
Well, all the jubilation at the moment, as I see coming down through Honda Corner, Bobby Morris, led by the Rothmans Cortinas on his victory lap. All the jubilation today is in the Tirana camp, in the Ron Hodgson camp more especially, after the second round of the Amscar series with 2 victories to Bobby Morris out of the 3 heats, the other victory to Alan Moffat. In the series, that puts Bobby Morris way in front with 30 points from 3 straight wins in the first round of the series. 2 wins out of 3 today gives him a total of 59 points. And Alan Grice, by dint of steady running, if not in his usual spectacular fashion, has now a total of 44 points to hold down second place in the series. So it's been another exciting day's racing here at Amaroo for the Amscars, and of course there's more action to come right through the season here. We hope to have you back again when next we have motor racing at Amaroo Park. Meantime, Evan Green, thank you very much. Mike Raymond,
thank you, Garry.
Thank you. And we'll be back once more when there's motor racing action from Amaroo Park.
You can see all this on Super 100 MPH.